Alright, so we're maybe recording right now. So, yeah, we're recording from the computer, so who knows if this is actually going to work. Nobody knows. And tonight we will be going over Owens Defense. So, it seems like it's a good one. Some of the crowd are about to learn what that is. And this was sent in from so many people, but so I didn't really want to cover something that's considered so dubious, but when so many people request it, you just got to give the people what they want. So, for thank you in advance, who says, please cover the Owens defense against 1e4. It's a great counterattacking response. That was the last one that I saw, and so that's what we'll be covering today. So let's get right to it. So Owens defense occurs after the moves e4 and now b6. So already one move in, we know the name of the opening. This is Owens defense. And one time I was hanging out late at night at the club with a lot of super grandmasters, like the top 10 in the world, and they were talking about this position. Yeah, like the Sinkfield Cup. Yeah, so the players in there, they were talking about this position. And the discussion was about half of them thought this opening is just really dubious, but it probably equalizes eventually for black. And there's also half of them that just think this move loses by force. So it is kind of a suspicious opening. It's not really doing too much to address the issues in the center. Of course, you are going to, if I can draw arrows, yeah, you can put your bishop on b7, and you're going to start to put pressure on the e-pawn. And I think he is right to say, the person that sent this in, that it is a counterattacking defense. I use this as a weapon against significantly lower rated players because then they don't know what to do, and already they have to start thinking, and it's only move one. So that's the reason I like to play this. I played somebody rated 1,000 and I won in like 10 moves. So when I play those people, this is what I like to play, just to make them think. But I think against a well-prepared opponent, you might run into some troubles here with the black pieces. Now, white's universal move here, there's really only one move that is played in this position, and that's the move d4. Because why not? They let you take the center, so you should take it. And now black gets to play bishop to b7. That was his whole point. And already, yeah?
And c3.
And c3?
Yeah.
Knight to c3?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see that. Knight to c3 is one of the main moves. And bishop to d3 is the other one. Excellent. So, let's see. Which one, I guess I'll ask the audience here. What would you guys think white should play in this position, noticing that the e-pawn is attacked? So how would you guys handle this situation here? All right, so we got a suggestion for knight to c3, which I think is sort of the most logical move. You know, when you see this, right? You just bring out a piece, you defend the center. But surprisingly, it's not the most popular. Bishop to d3 is actually more popular. But we'll have a look at this continuation. So in lines where the knight goes to c3, the other option, of course, in this position, you know, the knight's either going to go to c3 or d2, and there's some differences. So whenever you, let me turn this volume off, put your knight on c3, black's typical plan, sort of like in the Nimzo Indian, is to play e6 and bishop to b4. So this is kind of like a hybrid between like the Nimzo and the Queen's Indian. It's somewhere in there, but it's an e4 opening, so it's kind of a little bit different. And that's sort of the thing with this opening. It often will transpose to all sorts of openings. You might get structures that are similar to the French. You might get structures that are similar to the Sicilian. So you need to be a flexible player if you want to play this way, because you're not directly contesting the center, so white has all sorts of options, and you have to be ready for just about everything. So in this position, black plays e6. White can play a normal move. Let's just play knight to f3. And now, bishop to b4. So you pin the knight and attack the pawn. Now, one time, I was playing somebody rated about 1,200. And in this position, they played bishop to d2. Probably they don't know my rule, never play bishop to d2. And this is a good example where that rule is true. You see why this is wrong?
Yeah.
Why? What should black do?
Take the knight and then you take the pawn.
Right. And that's what I did. And then, yeah, then he played like bishop d3, and I went here. And then somehow, in like 5 moves from now, he hung his queen. Like, I don't know how that's possible, but that's what happened. So, Like, it seems impossible, but it just took his queen, and then, like, I checkmated him right after that. So, yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to win that e-pawn, and sometimes it happens. Even against, okay, 1200 is not bad. You think they might be able to see this, but okay. Let's see. So now, the threat of taking the pawn is real, so we need to defend it one more time. Bishop to d3 makes a lot of sense. Even Aaron agrees. It makes a lot of sense. So now, knight to f6. Black continues to put pressure here. So remember, the knight is pinned, so now black is attacking it twice, and white is only directly defending it one time. And in this opening, in general, white wants to keep his pawn on e4. He doesn't want to hurry to play a move like e5. Because if you play e5, you are giving certain squares away that black might be able to use, so he could put his knight on either one of those squares here in this position. And the pawns are perfect on e4 and d4 because they control basically the whole fifth rank. So those are excellent pawns. So in almost every line, white is going to try to hold on to his pawn and keep the pawn there. So, Aaron, how would you defend the pawn? Queen to e2. An excellent move. Okay? So, yes, we just keep it there. And, all right, now you have to decide what you're going to do here. Okay. So black plays d5. The other option was to play c5, but d5 is more popular. And again, you're attacking e4. That's what black should do. He just keeps attacking e4. And I think the move that most people would play here automatically is actually a mistake. E5? E5 is a mistake. Yeah, he should take here, but we'll try to understand. We'll look at e5. And now you're probably just expecting, okay, he'll just retreat. At some point, black will castle. Maybe he'll play c5, get his other knight out. But he actually doesn't have to retreat in this position. He can go forward. Knight to e4. This is black's whole point.
Yeah.
And anything that white does here will be a concession. Notice, first of all, that you can't take this knight. This would be a very bad move. This just blunders a pawn. Because now black takes, and wherever the knight moves, we take on d4, and then we're attacking e5 and c3, and you've got a lot of problems already. You're down a pawn, and black's doing great. So that would be just a mistake. There is, in these lines, often the option of just castling, which is a gambit, obviously. Black can take here. And I only mention it briefly because these sorts of positions, they occur all the time in the Owens defense and sometimes in certain strange offbeat French defenses. You do have some compensation. White gets really fantastic pieces. This bishop really probably belongs over on e7, so it's a bit out of play. But you are up a pawn, so play normally would continue. They attack the pawn, and either the queen or the bishop protects the d pawn, and you get a very interesting game. And okay, I just mention it just because sometimes it's possible, so you do want to keep that in mind. But the main move here is bishop to d2, and white can say, okay, I'll take the bishops. And in such a position, black has the two bishops. He has the plan of playing c5 in the near future. He should be careful about castling because you got to worry about Greek gifts that might be looming in the position. Okay. But yeah, mainly too, another option for black here is to put his bishop back on e7 before you play the move c5. The reason being, if you play c5 immediately, let's see, they can play a3, and you don't want to give up the bishops. And you can go back to a5, and this is fine, and this has been played before. But really, this bishop belongs over here on e7. So, okay. So that's why if we go back to the position in which black played d5, the main move is to take. And black has three ways to take back, and they've all been played. The most common is to take back with the knight.
Yeah.
But taking back with the queen also is very possible. You get sort of like a Scandinavian structure. So people that like the Scandinavian might want to look up those lines. But more popular is to take with the knight.
Yeah, and attack the knight.
And attack the knight on c3. Excellent. So white could castle. You can do the same sort of gambit. Or more often, you can play bishop to d2.
Yeah.
And so black gets to ruin the pawn structure. and the bishop must retreat. Well, I suppose he could go to a5 or d6, but you probably want to be on e7, where you control some of these dark squares just to make sure the knight stays out of there. Because once you castle, we'll give white a move here. So whenever black castles, he does have to worry about an attack. So white is really, he's like, oh, look at all these pieces. You know, I can get all these pieces into the attack, and I can go try to checkmate you really fast. So black doesn't have to castle. It is, you know, it's one of the two main moves here. But also you could play, you know, knight to d7 and c5 first, and just not tell you where the king is going quite yet. But castling is fine. There's no great gift at the moment, based off the fact that you have g5 under control as black. So, all right, so that's one possibility. And so both sides can say, okay, I kind of like this position. When you play the Owens, this is one of the critical lines. You know, if you like this position, you know, you did ruin white's pawn structure. He will probably very shortly play a4, a5 to try to get rid of this weakness. And normally white tries to make you go to sleep over here on the queen side. He's moving all the stuff over there. And then when you're not looking, he attacks you on the king side and checkmates you. So watch out for that. But okay, we'll go back and we'll look at the other way to play, and then you can compare the two variations and see which one you like for yourself. Okay, so we go back to sort of the starting position. And again, the e-pawn is attacked. And now we'll go over the more popular move, bishop to d3. Okay, again, black plays e6. And if you play knight to c3, then we'll play bishop to b4. And so we'll get a transposition to sort of what we just saw. So instead, white has a flexible move, knight to f3.
I thought of that.
All right, you thought of that?
No.
All right. And now bishop to b4 doesn't make sense because white just plays c3. And in this variation, he's probably going to play c3 anyway. And as we'll see as we go along, that knight often goes to d2 instead of c3. All right. And now, what to do as black? This is normally the time where black decides to attack the center. So you could play d5, which is very uncommon, but it was seen in the famous game Schrantz 2016. Do you know that game? It happened in the Monday Night Mayhem tournament. I've done everything I can to sabotage Danny Machuca week after week. He just shows up and he keeps winning the tournament. I'll make him play 3 people at once. There's some victims in the room from that. He won every single game to get 1 point. Yeah, the good thing is there's no camera, so even if you duck, nobody's ever going to know. I've made him play with time odds, but the only thing that's ever worked is just playing him myself. That's the only way to shut him down. And yeah, I made him play the Owens Defense, and then yeah, I got to win. And here he played d5, and then I played e5, and his knight never found a good place to go. So more common is c5. And so you might castle, which is fine, I guess, you know. And you'll get a sort of an open Sicilian type structure. This is a very possible way to play. And, you know, so a continuation might go like this. And then the bishop will probably go to c5. And the knight will go either to f6. But knight to e7 is not so bad either. With the knight on e7, you are, you know, white's threat of playing e5 at some point isn't going to attack your knight. And from e7, the knight will be preparing the d5 break for black. So this is fine. This should be sort of an equal position for both sides, but very playable. It's if you like the Sicilian, maybe that's the way you want to play this position as white. But more common is to keep the pawn on d4. How do you do that? Do you know? Yeah, how do you do it? C3. Excellent move. Let's go back. C3. Perfect. Yeah, so if you just take on d4, I'll take back with my pawn. Okay, fair enough. Now, knight to f6. And then what should we play here as white? What do you think the most common move is? Bishop g5. This is actually, I think, the third most common move, but yeah, it is playable. Yeah, I can either play bishop e7 or I can play h6. Okay, but the most common move is actually queen to e2. So again, right, we're just protecting the pawn. Also, it's possible to play e5, but again, we're giving away squares. And our big advantage as white is this huge space advantage. So we really want those pawns to stay where they are, which is why queen to e2 makes a lot of sense here, and it's the most common move. And now we can blunder. The most common move here is bishop to e7, and we'll try to understand why. You might be thinking, okay, just attack the center again. That seems good. You're attacking the center again, and if we trade here, sometimes we'll get to play knight to b4, and then we get to take your bishop. So that looks good, but this is actually a blunder. Now, I talked about this opening before in my top 10 e4 video, so some people were in that room, so let's see if they can remember what is the move that white can play in this position. All right, and I'll give a big hint. There's a queen on the same file as the black king.
So push the d pawn?
Yes, yeah. So d5 is just a fantastic move here. Obviously, you can't take this because right, the knight will die. So what if I go here though? Oh, what? Just keep pushing it. Yeah, excellent. And so this will just win a piece. The other option is to get out of town and go to a5, but what? But
B4 doesn't really work that
b4 by white.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, move I would never consider. I never saw that one coming. Okay, yeah, it doesn't work. Okay, but there's a lot of moves, but I mean c4 will illustrate the point well enough. These two people are just sort of spectators over here. The bishop has been shut down. The knight's out of place. White's center is now tremendous. In the future, we might be able to do this and this, and then just crush you. So this would be a very bad mistake by black. So that's something to work out for. But now, with the bishop on e7, if you play this way first, d5 is not a threat, because we'll take it a bunch of times. Because this move doesn't come with check, so we can take the pawn with anything we want. So bishop e7, and white normally castles. Makes a lot of sense. Now the knight comes out to c6. And so we do have a threat. I'll make a useless move over here for white to illustrate the positional threat. Black wants to take this and play knight to b4. And he's going to get your bishop.
Yeah, and then we're gonna
And then do it?
and then take the E4.
And then take the e4 pawn. Right. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you could, protect it with your knight. You could get a position like this, but this is one of your big attackers here as white, if we go back to the position here without h3. This is one of your biggest attackers on the castled king, because whenever black castles king side, you're thinking about playing e5, shooing the knight away, and then you have this bishop on this nice diagonal, and sometimes you'll sacrifice on h7 and then checkmate the king. So that would be nice. So that's why black endeavors to go and get that bishop. So most often, white will stop him from doing that. He can play the move a3. So this prevents any knight to b4 in the future. And black's next move might shock you. So I don't know how old you are, but this might be a really shocking move, okay? You might want to close your eyes. It's knight to a5. Did that shock you? No, you saw that one coming?
No, but I didn't know there was this move, but it didn't shock me.
Really? What's the knight doing out there? Isn't white just about to play b4 and kick your knight away and you'll feel silly? Is that about to happen?
Weird.
It is weird, yes. Well, b4 might be able to attack my knight in the future. But for the moment, we're thinking about jumping into b3.
Yeah.
So if you play b4, we play knight b3. And we're feeling fine. So white will try to protect b3. Knight b to d2. So yeah, so these are the lines where the knight goes to d2. And now, the only reason to make sense of the move knight to a5 is the next tactical point. Black has a tactical move here. That's the justification for putting the knight out there. Because white's next move is b4 if you do nothing, and then you got to move your knight back, and then people will laugh at you. Right? You don't want those people to laugh at you. But black here can play c4. Does that shock you as well? You get it? What's the point?
Because if you take the pawn, the knight will just take the piece and take the pawn.
Excellent, yeah. If the knight takes the pawn, we do this, and then what?
And then knight or bishop takes the pawn.
Yeah, and then anything takes this guy. Okay, excellent. So that's the point. So normally white doesn't want to give up his e-pawn. You know, e4 and d4 are his big trump here. So bishop to c2.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. And now, what to do? The most flexible move here for black, and this will sort of get us to our starting position for the game that we're going to show, is queen to c7. One of the points of this move is not only we're not castling yet because we don't want you to know which way we're going to go, and black can even castle queenside in these sorts of positions. Most often he goes kingside, but we're keeping the option open. And with the queen on c7, if you ever play d5, we can play the move e5, and the e-pawn is protected. So here is sort of the starting point. Thank you guys for watching and being here in person. It's been a lot of fun, this one. Who knows? Maybe this is a good format. Maybe we'll do this again. Maybe it won't be recorded and nobody's watching this on the internet right now. But yeah, I'm just talking, you know. Some people are listening, some aren't. But yeah, so keep sending in your openings that you want to see. Hit like, share, subscribe, and tell me what you think of this format. Is it better with or without my beautiful face on the screen? You let me know. Thanks for watching.